discussing the issue of how to make your application look awesome. Of course, considering that webinar is conducted by IronSpeed, of course, IronSpeed Designer would have a main focus on it, and applications we will try to look at would be generated by IronSpeed Designer as well. What we will cover today is actually is how to customize and how to change the application generated by IronSpeed Designer, which will include going through the base styles Cascade style sheet and understanding structure of this file and understanding of which portion of the file affect which portions of look and feel of your application. We will look on the such issues as how to change a color scheme, background color, header. We'll look at the important part of the application such as menus and how you can make your menus usable and look pretty as well. How to change layout of the page to make it more useful again. Of course, changing of the layout is quite obvious when you use IronSpeed Designer. However, certain portions of this layout greatly affect the presentation of your application, so we'll look at that. And I will touch such issues as how to and where to source the rich graphics for application, and finally, how to insert such nice touched application as a Google Maps. IronSpeed Designer generates application based on your schema. It's a data-centric applications as you wish. And of course, schema influences how this application will look and what functionality will be in the application. Layout is also depend on your schema. So it is important that you understand how you need to create a schema and what portions of the schema are important for the IronSpeed Designer. Application performance is affected by schema as well. So designing schema is maybe the most important element in the process of creating data-centric application. Of course, often you are not, you don't have the luxury of designing the schema because often you already, and actually this is the most often situation, you already have a schema in your hands and you need to have a tool which allows you to enter data through the existing database and present those data for the users. Well, of course, in this case, the tool such as IronSpeed Designer is invaluable in the sense that it will allow to present those data the way how your users would like to see them and could be easy for them to use this tool. To create web application, IronSpeed Designer doesn't require any knowledge of code or any programming languages or SPX. However, the knowledge of database schemas and how database schema is constructed, what is the foreign key, is really helpful because, again, these affects everything, how your application looks, how it operates, how fast it is, and everything else. For how the schema can affect your layout, first of all. Well, for any foreign key which you have in your schema, IronSpeed Designer will generate such things as lookout drop-down list. Of course, they could be not necessarily drop-down lists. They could be, for example, radio button lists or something else. But anyway, if IronSpeed Designer sees a foreign key, it understands the special meaning of it and creates the lookup list, and it also can create the special formulas such as display foreign key as formulas to show the value, not the foreign key itself, but some other meaningful value from the parent table. The field names are created, again, using, of course, labels for the field names created using the field names themselves, and the way how you name your fields in the database affects the labels themselves. For example, if you have a camel case notation in your database schema, IronSpeed Designer will recognize it, and it will create the proper human-readable label. During today's presentation, I will be switching on and off from presentation to the live application, which was just created. So let me start doing that. So let me switch to the application itself and show you, for example, some very simple schema, which is in this case our sample schema which we ship with IronSpeed Designer, and this is in fact the sample application. So let's go for some page, for example, let's say the simple page show categories group by show categories table. In the schema, if I look at it, and database tab allows you to look in the schema, this is the field names. And you can see that this schema has names with the camel case notation, such as article path with the capital P, category name with the capital N. Why it is important? Well, IronSpeed Designer will recognize that, for example, category name is the compound label, in fact, and it's not necessarily should be shown exactly as it is. Let me go to this page and have a look at it. Second. I didn't build it before, so right now it's compiles. And if you look at it, you will see that, for example, product name label becomes product space name, and the category name label becomes category. IronSpeed Designer quantity per unit. You will see that it's a human readable label, quantity space per space unit, while the field itself is the quantity per unit without any spaces. So sometimes, for example, when a designer sees these things such as ID at the end, it skips this ID and shows just a label, because effectively, what is supplier ID? It's supplier, and you will see label for category ID as a category. Again, we just saw it here that instead of category ID, it shows category. But you can actually see that it's not a really ID here, it's the foreign key, and as I mentioned, when IronSpeed Designer recognizes the foreign key, it gives it a special treatment. In this case, what it did is that it's figured out that this is the foreign key, so my category ID is the foreign key, and then it says, okay, if it's foreign key, instead of showing the number, which is the data type of this particular field, let's show something more meaningful, such as category name. So that's how IronSpeed Designer uses your notation, the ways you specify the fields, how it recognizes specific words. It actually has pretty sophisticated logic, which we greatly improved in the latest 9.2 release to treat special kind of words such as last name, first name, URL, address, password, etc. very special way, and we will look at it literally in a second, so you will understand that all these type of names are actually meaningful for IronSpeed Designer. Let me show you another thing about, actually, I will do it a bit later because I will be talking about layout later again. Now, let's put aside the layout itself, and let's spend some time talking about the styles, how application looks, because that's our topic today, so let's start with the styles. Again, when I go to my application, for example, it's right here, you can see it's pretty colorful stuff. I mean, you have this yellow sunburst image which is going behind your page, and you have the kind of matching pattern on the header, and you have images with drop shadows, and you can see the Google method, so on, so on. Most of these things are actually generated from scratch, right out of the box. So if you generate new application with selected theme, and this particular theme called Riesling, it will be almost like this. So something might be missing. For example, your logo, not necessarily with the Acme Food Company, it might be your application, your company's logo, and very possible your schema might not have these nice pictures and so on, but generally feel and look of that will be very similar to what we see right now. But what if your company's, for example, corporate colors or corporate theme is different? What if you don't like certain images or certain colors? What if you want to have different header? What do you do? Well, answer to all these questions is you need to modify your style sheet. So let's go to the style sheet and see how it looks like, what's the structure of this style sheet, and how do you do it. So first of all, this is the standard.NET folder called up_themes, and the .NET knows that this folder should contain all your style sheets. They, according again to standard.NET specification, could be combined in the different folders. For example, right now I have one theme which is called Resync. In fact, you can have in the UpThemes folder several subfolders with different names, and you can effectively switch between them. You can do it even on runtime, and some of our themes we suggest has multiple personalities, if you wish, has multiple color schemes inside, which are effectively different folders with the style sheets inside, and switching between them is possible on runtime, or you can specify default theme into the web config. So .NET knows that if you have theme named Resync, you have to go to up_themes folder, you have to find subfolder named Resync, and you need to load all the style sheets which you have over there. We have by default two style sheets, BaseStyles.css and Styles.css. Why we have two of them? Well, all the styles which are supplied by IronSpeed Designer, I mean generated out of the box, are included into the BaseStyles.css, and the Styles.css file is effectively empty like this. However, if you want to overwrite any style from BaseStyles or any modifications to the styles, or if you want to add your own one, you have to do this here in the Styles.css. The thing is that .NET allows these style sheets alphabetically, meaning that first it will load the one which starts with B, which is BaseStyles. After that, it will load the Styles.css, and by doing this, if you have style with the same name, it will just overwrite whatever you had in the BaseStyles. So it's actually effectively hierarchical order. Every new style with the same name overrides whatever was before. So effectively, your changes which you can make in the styles the CSS file will override anything you had in the BaseStyles. But why not to change them directly in the BaseStyles? Very simple. If you rebuild your application or change something, the BaseStyles could be copied over. Or for example, if you migrate application, which is the common thing, you get new version, you have maintenance contract, you migrated application to the new version. During migration, the BaseStyles file will be replaced with the new one because sometimes we add new styles, they need to be in effect, so we have to replace it. So your changes will be gone. But if you put your changes into the styles file, everything will be preserved. However, said that today I won't be doing this for the sake of time saving. I'm not planning to migrate or do something, so I will be doing changes right in the BaseStyles just to show you how this file is composed and what you might change. So let's look at the file. First of all, so let me switch back for a second to my presentation. So the file, as I said, located in the folder. Actually, everything I will be mentioning today, even sometimes I will be doing this on the live application, everything still has its text in the presentation. So after today's session, you can download the presentation and kind of recap everything I said. So if you missed when I mentioned some style name or I mentioned some path or something like this, don't worry, it's all in the presentation. So that's, you can see the text which I just said. So now, before we will go to the styles, I want to give you one tip. If you want to work on the modification of the style sheet, if you want to figure out what style particular affects this or that element on the page, use the Firefox. Why? The thing is that Firefox has pretty powerful functionality to see where you are and which element affected by which style. So all we need to do is to click Ctrl-Shift-I and Alt-S, and then you can literally see every element of your application. For example, let's see, I want to see which styles affect my header, for example, just for the sake of example, right? Or page background, or container, or anything. So what do? I will go Ctrl-Shift-I in the Firefox, and I will get this panel below. I can say to see the styles Alt-S. Actually, I switched off the panel, so I'll switch it back on. So here it is. And now what I can do, I can go for every element. You can see it. And if I click on this element, or header, for example, right now, if I click on it, below, I see the styles which affect this particular element on the header. So first of all, here is on the right all my styles, and you can see the background image right here. This is the image. Sits in the images folder, and it's called PCT background JPEG. You can see it centered, and you can see that there are some small 1 pixel border under it. So all of these things you immediately see. Now you want to see, okay, which styles are used for to do this. Well, you can see right here the portion of the HTML text for that. So you can see that, okay, my guy will have a style PCT right here, the class name PCT. So it's kind of quite easy. Also, it's pretty easy here to change the selection and make it bigger or smaller, because right here is a thumbnail. So for example, if I go up, you can see, oh, okay, T-body includes the whole page. My TR is the whole header. And this is my style on this particular cell. So using the Firefox makes the work and the figuring out the question of, okay, which style do I need to modify to change this or that is much, much, much easier. So I will try to illustrate that today a couple of times more, but that's the tip. So right now, let's get back to the style sheet and see which particular styles affect different areas of the application. So first of all, page background styles. This is the very beginning. Actually, let me do this. Let me enable the line numbers. It will be easier for me to point out different things. And let's make this thing a bit smaller. So my style sheet is in the middle. So page background styles, first of all. If you want to change background, you are looking at this particular section. For example, you see my background color right now is FDD95E. So if I, for example, change this, and then I will be reversing my changes back. I don't want to completely screw it up, but I will show you what will happen. For example, let me change it to AA. And to be honest, I don't remember what exactly color it will be. But if we go to our, let me switch off right now my thing. Actually, I want to remove this thing, and I want to. Okay, now can do Control F5, and let me refresh the thing. So now I hopefully refreshed my style, but nothing really changed. And why it is so? Because I have the image. Now let's remove the image and see what changes it will make after that. So I change my style, and now I am literally removing my image. Then I will actually, you know what? Let me do this. Let me remove it first and then change the color. And save the style, and let's see how it affects my application. So you can see that image is gone, and the background color AAA is gray. If I would make it, for example, instead of AAA, if I would make it, let's say, I don't know, let's say 2222, and save, that will produce black image. So you can see how easy to change background image over here, but of course my image, if it's there, it overrides the color because image is on top of the color. So these are two elements. So let me return this thing back. Next thing, so this is the background style. Next section, I want to look at page container styles. This is important portion. So let's see, I save what I have right now. Let me go back and refresh the thing. So my background is back. Now let me go and look at the page container styles. important container here. So I have a lot of different containers. The most important one is the page C. It's a page container, and this container can override the color of the background if I add any color here. So for example, if I put in the page C container the new color, such as, let's see, let me just copy the thing and put it, for example, here I will put, I don't remember really most of the colors, so let's do this something like, I don't know, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And if I look right now on my application, what will happen is that it should override, you see, it override the background color which I had before, because the container sits on top of the background. So this is my color, which is apparently some kind of dark blue. So let's go back, remove the thing. So again, the page container and the container area right here, again, if you click Ctrl-Shift-I and look at the area, this would be, hold on, and my container, I need to go up. This is the body, T, table, body C. No, it's less than this. Okay, this is where my container will be here. So effectively right here I will find my container class special C. So it is somewhere over here. I think I already have the container selected properly. Yes. So it's a PPC would be the style which affects the container. But again, you can look through the different styles and see what they are. Anyway, that was the page C style inside the container. Now let's go down and see what else is important. Okay, this is all different containers, and if you see some of them, you can change this to affect the color or the style. Page margin styles is kind of important as well, because here we have the margin TL, margin TR. These guys, margin TL and margin TR, effectively set the image for the header. So again, let me refresh it back. Oh, did they save it? I might not save. I want my sunburst back. Please give it to me. Here, thank you. Now, again, let's look at this guy. You can see this is margin TL. It's TD margin TL. This is the class. You can see it right here. The similar way, if I look at the right, it will be margin TR, and the central portion is called PCT over here. So, what if my headers need to be changed? The header changed in the page margin style. For example, my margin TL has some image. If I remove this image right here and save, what will happen in the application in this case, you got image removed. So the common background image, the big one, will show now instead of my greenish one. So the greenish image is actually made the way so it's semi-transparent. So you can see the pattern going through it, but it gives you this nice touch. So the same way I can remove the TR from here, or I can replace this image with something else. Meaning, if you have your corporate header, and for example, corporate header is blue with some yellow text, what do? You replace those images. This particular image is actually sits on top of this middle one. So the middle one is in the style which is called. So let me return back my left. The middle image sits in the middle, and it's a page center styles, and effectively this is PCT. We saw it when I clicked in the Firefox on it. You saw that this image is actually PCT. But if you remove this guy over here, my PCT will become slightly different, And in this case, when I refresh it, it's gone. But now again, how do I know it's a PCT if I forgot what I said today? Here it is. I click on this thing and I can see it. The style is PCT. So Firefox gives you immediately information which particular style I change it. So, but again, what if I need to change this logo to something else? Well, in this case, it is slightly different. This logo is an image which is configured in the design mode. So let me go back to my designer. Let me return this image to this place. I will save it back. And I will go to header. In the header, you have over here, I don't want to look at it. Over here you have different elements. One of them is logo. Effectively, it is the image. And if I look at the properties for the image, I would see that this image URL is images folder logo.gif. So that's where I would find my image to replace with my thing. Anyway, going through a couple of more styles in the file, which are kind of important. So let me show you a couple of more things. So that's I showed you how to change the image and how to modify the center portion and the side portion of the header, which is most commonly modifiable portion of it. Now, if I go down to the section which is called panel container styles, actually, you know what, it will be quite a bit down. Let me just search for panel container. In there. Here it is. So when I go here, there is kind of important style down here, which is called dialog view and panel PC. Most importantly, it's called panel PC. Effectively, if you change underlying color over here, you will remove this white color. If I remove these two guys, for example, right, and save it, my white background from the panel will go away. You see, my panel becomes completely transparent. I see my background image, and I don't have white background. Effectively, we do use this technique. In one of our other themes, which is called Tempranillo, we have slight opacity of the background color. It's not completely opaque, but it has small opacity, so we can slightly see the underlying image. It could give you a nice touch, but of course, in this particular way right now, it's not really usable because your labels are not that good. But if you make it, for example, different image, subtle, this type of thing could kind of give you the airy feel of hanging in the of the words hanging in the space. Another thing which you might change here is, for example, the box shadow. You see here the box shadow, and this shadow gives you the shadow around this central area. For example, let me make it huge. I will do it, for example, right here, 3 and 3, and let's say 5. If I do this, I will get box shadow, which will give you a completely different feel of the application. And I'm not saying it's always nice, but you can see right here the grayish. I'm not sure if you see. I might make it much bigger than this, but around the corner you've got this grayish drop shadow. So it kind of gives you this panel feel that it stands out. Okay. Another thing. So I don't need it right now. You can change the minimum width. So right now, for example, the width of this panel is 1,000 pixels. If I change it to 1,200, for example, you want to make it slightly wider, you can change width over here. So these are particularly important things which gives you the control over this central portion where your data are. So right now, we feel that having 1,000 pixels width is adequate, considering that a lot of folks, users, work on the small laptops with the 1024 pixels width. So this is actually quite enough, but it also gives you this nice centered look. But again, you can easily change this number over here. Couple of more, maybe the last important section I want to touch before we go to the next topic is page body styles, because again they affect its look and feel quite nicely. So let me search for it, so it will be page body. Let me go to page body. Again, I need to go up. Maybe I mistyped something. 6 to 2. It should be somewhere approximately right here. Page container. Here. So page is panel body styles. I'm sorry. Let me scroll down. Actually, you know what? 1 second. Let me find, because what I'm looking at is that D body. Here. So the section is panel body styles, and one of the important portions of it is the dialog body and D body. This effectively excludes the header, but includes the panel content container. Now, why this section is important is because, actually, you know what? Hold on. Let me. I'm thinking I'm looking at the wrong place. Okay. I believe I think it should be different. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry for this small thing. Page container styles, page background styles, but I want a slightly different style. Page margin styles. Okay, I actually was thinking about the possibility to get a semi-transparent image under the table, but this theme doesn't include it at all. It's actually included in the different style. That's why I couldn't find it. But one more thing I wanted to mention, that if you look on the Malbec theme, it would have the section where you have background image with the opaque background. This guy does not have this, but if you put background image is the spacer opaque, then this background image could kind of go through the theme on top, but they need to create another theme. So for this, you need to look for a D body. So that would be a dialog body. Let me find the place for this. I don't have this particular section, but I wouldn't find this guy over here. So if I put here background image with the opaque background, the same way as it's done in Malbec, and remove background color from the page container styles as we did before, so there's no, this image will go and show through your panel. So your panel will have this nice semi-transparent touch. So this is the style where you do this, it's the body, because it includes the page container. You can see it as well in the, if you use the Firefox, but that's the portion where you change it, and it has panel body styles, dialog body or D body. So this is the important portion of this particular guy, of the panel styles. So that's was several important regions. Of course, there are many more regions. There are special region which controls a multi-level menu, or there are special footer styles, or drop shadow styles. All these things are in the different places, and you can kind of, for example, if you want to change your drop shadow on the image, what do? You will search for drop shadow, something like this, shadow. And you will find a section, maybe it's not called exactly drop shadow, it's actually, let me see if I can just search it for shadow. Box shadow, that's will give you the box shadow on it, so you can change the things. In fact, it will show how large is the shadow, what color of the shadow, and this here is the drop shadow styles. It's one word. I was trying to search for 2 words, but it's one word. If you have an images, right now, if you look at this, all images have this drop shadow on the side, but it's not really noticeable. If I want to make it more prominent, I would go here and say that my box shadow, for example, would be maybe less this. I would change this maybe to I'm trying to think how to make it more prominent. Maybe I would need to put it here, not BBBB, but let's say actually, you know, what do is let's do this is 0000000, and this should give it much more prominent look, I believe. Yeah, you see it's become darker, so you can notice. Or you can change the size. Right now it's wide, and if I change it to, instead of this, if I change it, for example, to 111, it will become smaller. So this is kind of how they change depth shadow on the image. So that's the thing. Once again, the whole style sheet is divided into separate sections. Each section is responsible for the specific element, and when you want to find which element you want to use, the Firefox is actually a convenient tool where you can go, for example, to this guy, and you can see what styles you have on the image. And if you look from here, you will see the image drop shadow class, which we just have been looking at, is right here. So that's how you use it. Now let's go to the other topic, and the next topic will be menu. So let me switch to designer. Now with the menu, let's do the following. Let me go to some other application. So do I want to save changes to my base style class? Yes, I returned everything, so yes, why not? And let's imagine that my other application will have originally a lot of pages. In fact, my other application uses the copy of the schema we use for our own production. It has mostly test data because it's a copy. But what I will do, I will include, right now it has just 2 tables or 3 tables, but I will include some more tables to it. And to make it faster, I will just randomly choose a bunch of tables almost without data, because my point to show you how to operate with the menu. And let me kind of make less pages, so it will do it actually just faster. Yeah, just 3 pages. And let me include just 1, 2, 3, 4 different tables. I'll just go and click them like this. It's actually meaningful right now, meaningless in terms of application itself, but it is will illustrate how you can operate with the menus easily and reconfigure them. Okay, and let me build. The main thing about menus is that you don't want to have too many of them in one line. Here the rule is the less is the more, because when you have too many menus in one line, you will kind of see that they are barely usable. You get lost. The user cannot find whatever he needs. So you need to combine different portions of the menu inside under the certain group, so it will be easier to navigate. So while compiling, it's almost done there. Let me show 2 things in here. So first of all, okay, it's finished. Okay, give it a second. It also need to run the .NET compilation of the page, and it's almost there. Okay, so as you see, I added a lot of tables, but right here, RSP Designer tries to make it nice. It tries to keep it centered, And that's why you can see here only a portion of the menus, and everything else gets under the more. So that's my extra menus. So a designer does this work for you. But what if you, because if you have like 25 pages, 25 tables, your page will come in super wide, and you need to scroll sideways, which is not a good deal anywhere. So they will be automatically combined right here. Now, what if you don't like this type of combination, you want to combine them differently? Then it's extremely simple. All you do is right-click on the menu and click Configure. Right here you can see all of your items. So for example, I say, oh, you know what, my company is actually should be not here, but it should be somewhere here. Drag and drop. Or you can drag and drop pages inside. Or you can combine company and pages for some reason, I don't know why, but you decided they belong together. So you can just drag and drop. So you can see it's super easy to move them around. You can do this, you can move them to top, to bottom, you can change relative position of the guys. Extremely easy. Just drag it and drop. I am just clicking with the button and moving. And of course you can change inside what kind of text to show, what kind of resource value is used, where it navigates. You can add parameters. You can add security as well. But my point being is that modification of the menu is super extra easy. All you need to make sure that you do not have too many of them and they are properly combined. So that was the thing about menu customizations. Now let me touch some other issues. Page layout change. Also extremely easy. So let me go to, first of all, design mode. And if I go to some page, now this was the page which is automatically created by designer. So a lot of tables in real life application, and this is completely real life schema, it used for our project, for our internal project called Buckaroo. Some of you might hear about it. But this schema is real life one, and there is a lot of fields in certain tables. For example, this table, account company, has, I would say, about 50 or maybe more fields. So when you look at the page itself, this page looks actually quite nice. Well, again, as I said, it's test data, so some of the records don't have any data at all, but for example, this record has data. But what you can notice, and believe me, I didn't make any modifications. I can create exactly the same page again over and over. I didn't move anything or touch anything, but right out of the box, you can notice that all address fields automatically combined together. All, let's say, name, phone, etc. combined together. URLs combined together. And date type things combined together. RNSP designer is smart enough to look at the type of the field and the name of the field to combine them to make your layout looks nicer. It knows what the address, city, state, zip, country are all belong together. It knows that names belong together. It knows that URLs belong together. That's why it's important, and once again, to have names in your schema to put those names in a meaningful way. Also, you can see that long fields occupy more space, and they are put in over here. In fact, if I go to edit page, which is even more difficult to create properly because it has editable controls, you will see that those fields which require more space, such as URLs, nicely stuck over here. Fields which have less space needed, put in two columns on top, and such as fields such as nose, which is actually end text type, so it is supposed to have a lot of text over here, rendered with the rich text editor. So almost everything already is done for you by designer. But of course, sometimes you have names which couldn't be recognized, or you want to have different order, or you want to move things slightly around, or do something. Well, it's quite easy to do right here in design mode. If you want to move fields, you just take it and move it. Simple as that. If you want to delete them, you right-click and delete or insert. You can insert new columns right here, insert columns. And of course, you can change styles for any cell right here. Right-click, go to styles, and you have access to cell style, which is TD effectively, to row style, which is TR, and to table styles with the whole table control. Your styles, by the way, for this particular cell are shown right here, so you can see where what you're working on. So modification of the layout is quite easy just by moving stuff around. If you miss something, something is not included, but you need some control, all you have to do is to drag it and drop from the toolbox. You have here all the controls pre-bound. So you can grab charts, you can grab reports, you can grab buttons, all the controls are pre-bound. You can simply drag them and drop on the layout. And of course, another portion of the appearance, which is a property of the control, and properties also at your fingertip. For example, imagine that you want, well, this is just a literal, so there are not much properties you can see. But if I go to editable page, for example, this is the foreign key. So, no, actually, this is not foreign key. The foreign key is actually, I think that I'm a bit forgot. Let me see. It should be, there's no foreign key because this is a company table, and most of the other tables actually refer to this one. But if I go, let's say, right here, that, let me see, I might not include any tables which are really have foreign key here. Account company ID foreign key is rendered by default as drop-down list. You can change the appearance from this control to any the list box or to radio button or something else. You can go and modify different look and feel of this thing. You can change the font, you can change the color, you can change CSS styles of this particular field. Similarly, you can do this for the text boxes. So all the normal properties, like the fonts, the size. For example, if I have a text box, how wide it should be, and how many columns should I have in the text box. All of these type of things you can modify over here. So, for example, this is the single line and maximum length. But sometimes I have multi-line text boxes. This is multi-line text box. It has 6 rows. I can change to make it 10 rows. It has 120 columns. I can change it to make it bigger, smaller, change style, change the way how it's rendered, everything else in the fingertips at the properties. So when you want to modify the look of your control, that's where you go. Now, another portion of your modifications sits right under the grid. It has 4 different tabs over here. Well, one of them is a cell editor. It effectively shows you the content of your cell. And if I want, for example, surround this with the div tags, I can just simply go here and type it. I can say my div, and it will suggest you that you want to type div, so you can do this. And then it puts your closing tag. I can move this closing tag somewhere over here. And you might put some style on this div tag as well. So that's, for example, one. Or you can just type text over here. You can just type anything you want right here and it will appear. So this is kind of your TD area. But there are 3 other tabs. One of them called formulas. And this tab is used for a bunch of things. For example, to initialize your labels. And if I go back to my sample app for this case, which has a bit nicer features, so I want just to click there and go over there. So for example, I can say that I want my label initialized to something. Right now it's initialized to the field. Sometimes, as you can see right here, to make things looks nicer, I want to combine them in all in one cell, so I can move them from all the cells into the one cell. So I can remind you that, let me refresh the thing. You can see the address is combined in one cell to look at nicer, and the map sits on the right. So how did we do it? Well, this was a manual work. It's not out of the box. So out of the box, each field will have its own cell, but then you just drag and drop them into the one cell to get this like and feel. Then you can initialize them properly. Right now, they just initialize to the first name, but you might say here the Mr. in front. I can type any type of the text. I can say, for example, Mr. in front and add my first name, or I can do anything else right here. So that's where I can add the business logic. For editable controls, you can initialize when displaying to any other value than a database by something else. Right now it's default value, but if you do something else, you can configure where you save it. So there's all the business logic sits on this particular tab. So there's a bunch of things to do, and we have a special webinar on the formulas over here. I just wanted to point out that's the place. Data source tab helps you to modify the way how the queries are run. So effectively, you can just modify your data source for this particular table control. And code tab gives you access to the code, but that's not exactly the thing we will be doing now. The different code methods over here could be useful actually for the layout as well, because, for example, you can go to methods such as populate, which populates the drop-down list. Let me collapse the thing. Which populates the drop-down list, and you can go and insert some other items or change some logic. But again, it's not really related to layout, although sometimes it's useful to modify them as well. Now, again, as I mentioned, the toolbox over here has all your pre-bound controls, and again, everything I said is in the presentation. I just don't want to go slide by slide. I'll better show the live. But again, all the controls are present over here. They are pre-bound. You can drag and drop the whole panels or different fields inside the panel. Finally, before I go to the questions and I see that they are piling up over here, I wanted to show a couple of more interesting things, and one of them is the how to add a Google map to the application, and finally I will tell you how to put nice pictures to it to make it stand out. Because you know what, most of the time your data are pretty boring. Most of the time it's just numbers and sometimes some kind of labels, names, etc. And adding some nice picture actually makes page go alive. So one thing, if you have application which is designed to give your own employees access to your own internal database, then you really most of the time don't care about how excited they are to look at the page. Although it could be useful to make your employees excited, but anyway, it's maybe not your highest priority. Completely other thing is when you want to have create application which is common public facing, meaning that you expect potential customers to go to this website. In this case, you're actually really much concerned how this application look and how these potential customers are excited, because it is a question of will they leave your page after 1 minute, or they will be inclined to go and check out other pages. In this case, the images are actually make a huge difference. For example, on this particular page, we specifically sourced nice images because, of course, you understand these are not real data. Well, it's a sample application which we distribute to all our customers, and it's not real employees. But when the people download sample application and look at it, the quality of this picture actually matters. Similarly, the quality of pictures on this category page actually also matters. So if you, for example, have your products or your products organized in some categories, like it's here, for example, you definitely want to provide certain images. And sometimes there's a real image of your product, then you have a professional camera and better call somebody who knows how to operate it and make those really stand out images, so they kind of really stand out like these ones. Like this. But if you have a kind of generic type of product, so for example, you sell, like for example here you sell some beverages, or chai in this case, and there are a lot of them, or you have categories of those products, then you don't need really to make a pictures, you can source them. And again, there is a plenty of services who will sell you extremely professional pictures like this, and believe me, the quality of those pictures really make a difference. So where you can, let me see, I don't want to go to the designer in this particular second. I actually want to go to my presentation, and I will need really to go down because we already go through all these slides. So these are some of the resources which you can use. Some of them are less expensive, such as Dreamstime or Shutterstock. Some of them more expensive, like iStock Photo, but have much bigger selection. You can check out all of them. Again, you will be able to download the presentation. And there are some of them, but these three we actually really use after we look through dozens of others, and we kind of know that we're related to them. I'm not trying to advertise some other resource because we're getting something from them, not at all. But if you source professional photos, it will actually make a huge difference. And RSP Designer allows you to show them very nicely in the gallery page with the drop shadow standing out, so they really attract the attention of the customer. Another thing which really makes a difference is to show actually the map of the location, and it's actually not really difficult to do. So when I go back to my menu, you can see it. I have address and I have maps, and if I click any map, I would really actually go to the exact place where it is. So you can see this particular address. Again, it's a simple database, so I don't know who lives at this address. We tried to get addresses of some offices, so it's not somebody's real address. But how do we put the map over here? Well, it's actually quite easy. So let me go to this particular page, and here's my Google Map. So what is the Google Map itself? This is actually literal, nothing else but literal. So if I want to put a Google Map, what I will do is I just go to my SPX tab, to SPX controls, and simply grab the literal. Actually, not this, better to grab gen code literal because it has some additional logic. It will allow you to add the formula which you need. So you just grab a literal from here and drag and drop it. So right now we call this literal Google Map. You can call it anything you want. And then all you need to do is to add formula. Effectively, that's all. Well, the formula itself is pretty difficult, but to make things a bit easier for you, we added a comment which explains how this formula works. So this is the formula. It goes from here to here, but to make it kind of to go through it, to explain what it is, I need to go to my presentation, which has the same exact formula, and it's just bigger over here, easier to read. So what it includes? First of all, it's href. Why? Because we want this map to be clickable. If I don't want the map to be clickable, then I don't need href. But right here now, I think having this map clickable to go directly to the Google site is actually a nice touch. So when I need to add href, first of all, I need to add two things. First, it's the URL where it goes. Well, obviously it goes to mapsgoogle.com. And then you pass the parameters. The parameters will be location. So where do you get this location? Here's the trick. We use some small function which is called URL encode utils. So you would need to have this function, and this function is simple as that. It just returns standard utility from system library with the string, which is your URL. And the string in this case is nothing else is the address field, concatenated through the comma with city, concatenated through the comma with state. So my database has these three fields. Your database might have different fields. It might have address which includes all information in it. Or you might not have a state field, but you have a zip. Fortunately, Google is so smart that whatever you pass there, even if it's just a zip code, it will figure out somehow where it is. But as more you pass, as better estimate will be. So if you have address field included there. So what I did is that the three fields are included. And again, I might remove the state and it will be still fine, but the state gives you extra accuracy if you have the same address and city in different states, of course. Then I call this utility, and this function is added to the shared formula utils. I can show you later in a second in the RSP Designer. And then I call this function to just URL encode it and pass it as a parameter. So you can see that location, and then it equals to this. So when you call this Google API, it will effectively pass the URL with the maps, and this address, it will literally navigate to the proper URL. Now, target blank means it will open new window. That's what happened. But the second portion of the formula right here is actually the image you see. And you see that there is an image tag which just shows the source. Now, what's the source of the image in this case? Well, it's also a Google map. But in this case, it has a different API and different URL. So instead of going to moves.google.com, which shows you real dynamic map, it goes to Google APIs. And then you can get a static map with a specific size. Right here is 250 by 150. You can change size. You can make it as big or as small as you want. The type roadmap, you can, instead of roadmap, show, for example, the satellite view if you want. And it has different types. And it has, again, the same call to the same address over there. And that's about it. The only thing you need to remember that Google shows these maps for free, so you don't need to buy any license or anything. However, it actually has a limit on how many maps per minute you can see. Effectively, this map will show, but the limit is, as far as I remember, is about 75 impressions from the specific page per minute, meaning that if the customer, one particular user, opened the specific page, if during this session he will see going through this one application more than 75 maps, they will stop show you red crosses, which means that maybe in real life you do not want to include too many maps on one page because each one of them is a new impression. So if I have the page with the 100 records and each of them has a map, well, you know what? They will not show. They will show red cross because they will exceed the limitation at once. So you need to remember about that. But in the most of the times when you have 2, 3, 5, 10 records on the page, it's perfectly fine because it's per user, meaning per session. So 100 concurrent users, each of them has its own session, so it will work. So this is kind of pretty much a very straightforward thing. Again, typing of this formula is tricky because it's important how you put all the quotes and double quotes, etc. But fortunately, you have this presentation and the sample application, so you can download it and literally copy it and just replace the names of your fields from your database. Finally, I wanted to mention where this particular function, which I said goes to, and it goes to shared for upquote, shared, or if it's this is website, but if you have web application, it will go to shared in the root folder. I need to, first of all, I need to view all files. And now I find the file which is called formula utils. And this is the function. It was a function called URL encode util. Let me find it. It's somewhere here. URL encode util. Okay, it was at the beginning. That's what it does. I'm sorry, I was looking at it, but I didn't see it. So it creates encodes URL, but in this case, it actually replaces some quotes inside URL, because technically, if your field has the single quote, so it's a bit more sophisticated than I put in presentation right here, because if your data field has a single quote, then it will screw up the markup, because single quote is actually reserved for, it's already quoted, so it's quote inside quote, so it will end the string. So you need to encode this as apostrophe, like this, to preserve it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be properly passed to the Google. Google will not recognize the name. So, but here is the function, and you can use this function. It's very simple. And after that, your Google Maps will work perfectly fine. So to kind of summarize everything we touched today, I wanted to kind of again repeat that ISP Designer will make your data show better by arranging those fields proper order, by creating the styles which allows you to center your page, to show nice background images, to put drop shadows on your images on the gallery pages, and to create in the menus which are not too long and combining them, etc., etc., etc. So it all will be done out of the box, but of course you might change to add rich graphics. They'll get them from the sites I mentioned, add images and photos to employees, maybe you need to change a header, very possible, because you will have your own logo and you might change the color of the background color of the header. But again, you can start with one of our themes we provide right now, total about 33 different themes with different layouts. And you, of course, you can select the one which is most close to your dream project, and then just go to the style sheet as we did today and replace pictures, replace images, replace colors, change them, make the size of the page different, and then you will get application which is looks exactly as you want, look nice, and it has your corporate touch. Now, this is the end of the presentation part. I'm sorry it was like 5 minutes longer than I planned. And let me go to the questions part. I have actually quite a few questions over here. So, question from Erland. On the right side, under the toolbox, ISPX and other controls is Ajax, ISPX, and HTML. Is there anywhere documentation on the capabilities of these controls and how to use controls? Yes, of course, definitely. Everything is documented, and thank you very much for this question, by the way, because I usually do this every time, but today I somehow forgot it. Of course, if you have any question, first thing you go to is this. And on our corporate website, when you go there, there's a search box right on top, and you just type there whatever you are looking at. For example, I would say toolbox controls, let's see, and search for this. And using the page layout spreadsheet and toolbox, and here is the help. And if you go to down, you will see where this is, using group organize, placing pages, application design mode, fields, pre-bound other boxes. There should be something else. We might search third-party controls. I suppose it should be somewhere else here. I just need to search for the maybe slightly different, for like toolbox, ISPX, or something. The third-party controls, hyperlinks. I hope it's there. I just need to search properly. But anyway, if we can find it, because I hope it is there, but most of the things we use is in the help, almost everything. But the help is super large, and sometimes it's even difficult to find. Now, what are they and how they operate is actually pretty straightforward right here. And this is the standard Ajax controls. If you go to Ajax Toolkit, you will see exactly these controls with explanation how they work. So that's what you do. Now, ISPX controls are completely standard ISPX controls, and if you Google ISPX button or ISP colon checkbox, ISP colon image, you will see exact explanation of how these controls are done. And finally, there are JNTAG control, HTML controls are standard HTML controls as well. So if I drag and drop this tag, what I will get? Well, oops, I did it wrong place. I needed to do it in some right place. And if I go to secret, that's what I got. This tag, nothing else. If I drag and drop HTML, I don't know, radio button. Where did it go? Radio button. Can I drop it here? Here, I've got it, my radio button. So it's simple as that. And JNTAG controls is the same controls is generated by designer for all these fields. These are JNTAG controls. And we have special help for all JNTAG controls separately for this. So you need to search for the specific control name and the help, most likely you will find it there. Why are you making changes in base styles and not copying to style CSS? You should not do this. I said that in the beginning. I was doing this. The only reason for that is that I was not going to change them. So of course, if I really want to make this change, I would do this. I will copy the style, paste it from the base styles to the styles file, and then modify it over there. But I don't have enough time to do this operation like 25 times when I was doing this. So I should do this if I want to have my change permanent. It will affect the effect will be exactly the same. But just for the sake of doing this a bit faster to show the changes how they work, I will do this right in the base styles. But of course, as I said, don't do this, because if you migrate application or change the theme or rebuild all, these styles would be overridden. I just didn't do all those types of things. I was just modifying style and saving it. I knew that I will revert it back. So that's the only reason. So you should not do this. Where would we change the font sizes? There are several things. So if you want to change the font size for the particular control, it is actually for the label. Let's say if you go to the properties. Oh, well, I need only toolbox into properties. For the label, there's in styles, and so everyone has the specific style. So, for example, table cell label, and if we go to the theme and search for table cell label, you can see font size for all the different ones. So I want, in this particular case, this is the search label size, but if I search for table cell label, I believe that's how it was typed. Hopefully, here it is. I will find the font size right here. So each time you want to change size for the specific object, this, for example, has table cell value style, and it's different style than table cell label. And in fact, if you go here, where I was, table cell label, this is the label, and this is the value, and you can see that the color of the label is lighter than the value, and you will see it on the runtime. If you go to this guy, you will see that the labels are kind of a bit lighter color, so they do not affect the overall text in here. So that's where you change this. Next question from Chris. Please explain why the Moz box shadow commented out in the panel styles and the impact of uncommenting it. Anything which is commented out doesn't have any effect, but if you uncomment it, of course, it will take effect. Some of the styles are commented out for the only single reason is that make your life easier. So instead of thinking how to type this particular style and what value to put, you can see uncommented out example and say, aha. So that's how it works. So all you do is uncomment it. So you will see there are a bunch of comments in the style sheet. We try to put them everywhere. The comments which explain what is being affected, the comments which explain other things. So these guys are not used right now, and they could be used for something else, and I don't even remember for what right now, to be honest. It's for theme button, and you can see that it uses slightly different things. So to be honest, I don't remember why they are commented out over here. Commented out means they are not affecting anything. But no, I won't be able to remember why particular these comment styles are commented over here. Doesn't ring a bell. I believe that you can have a different type of backgrounds and you can modify them, and this was one of the ways in one of the style sheets for different themes. In the styles, why are there multiple names, dialog body and dbody? Very good question, thank you for that as well, because I wanted to say about it, but I forgot. Let's check, for example, dbody. It's one of the good examples. So d.dbody, right? So let's find them. So this is the first one, and these will affect the body which belongs. You see, the problem is that they belong to different places, to different areas. In fact, so that's the body would be used with the conjunction of the Ajax panel. Another one would be used in conjunction of a button, and another one would be used for those different objects. If you remember, right here, if I go back, let's see, for example, I'm trying to, up. So you see the dbody will be used here, but which dbody will be used here? Only this dbody which sits on a table. So the style, the class dBody, which belongs to table, will be used. The dBody which belongs to button, in this case, will not be used. So its style sheet is done the way that you have two different things. You have the name of the style, and you have the object itself. So on which object, the different objects will have different styles with the same name used differently. For example, here you can see that it's used for the button only because the object which is it's applied to is actually a button. And for the tables, it will use different style. It will use the style which is applied to the table. So if there is nothing before it, then it will be used always. But all of the duplicated names have something preceding them. Some text of those dBodies. Again, if I search for dBodies, this is, you see the button preceding, and here is the dialog body is preceding, and there could be tab, etc. So there's different places, different styles are being used. If there's nothing is preceding, then you just add extra style if it's not specified. So sometimes for dBody, for example, there are cases when there's nothing preceding before. So right here you can see there's a border, but in the other example, there's other style. So again, different styles in different cases. So sometimes you will see like here, you will see that hover, that's where this thing would be used, because this is kind of the qualifier of where to use. Sometimes it just has nothing, so this will be applied. So it depends on what is there. Can I set a parameter in appgen to force modern styles to force creation of 4 columns? Yes, of course. You will go to app generation options, and you will open, let's see, web styles reports. For example, this guy, page options, and the number of tables, but I'm looking for number of columns, 3 columns right here. Modern page level 3 columns. If you change this to 4 columns, it will have 4 columns. But you would need to do this for every panel type. How do I rewrite menu items so that they don't look like links when they are not links, but just additional text to help with look and feel? Everything is done in the editor. So for example, right here, if I go to my menu and click at configure, so each menu item has URL. By the way, they are not all menu items right now do not look like links. You can see that they look. Let me do this. They don't look like links at all. This has one layer, but another one which I had before. Oops, this is not the right one. Right here, you can here it is. So they do look like menu items. So but anything you want to configure to menu item, you can do here. You can change URL, or you can have non-URL at all. You can have different image and so on. I'm not sure what you mean about look like links. They are not links actually. Menu items. You can change the text over here. We can change any description you want. So if you're talking about the description, and you can add a tooltip as well. How do I change the width of the left nav? I'm using Kubernetes theme. Left nav. I would need to create application for that with the Kubernetes theme. Select in Mozilla this Kubernetes theme area, and then find the style. Eventually, you can do this yourself. I unfortunately don't have really time right now. I'm quite over time right now. But eventually, you will find the style name, and it would be most likely something like this. And there is a width, for example, for the left nav inside the body. You need to find the exact style, and it will say width in pixels. But as far as I'm concerned, left nav in the Cabernet, I don't think it's actually limited to some specific width. I think it's driven by the menu. But again, what you need to do is to create Cabernet theme, run designer, open in the Firefox, select, as I showed today several times, the area. It will be just this vertical area around this. Click on it, and below you will see the style. Go to the style, you will see the width. Your help documentation makes no mention of utilizing the accessibility and tab index properties. Accessibility and tab index properties. We've designed a website that will be a government website page, and a web application is not passing 508 compliance. Actually, it should pass 508 compliance, and we have extensive help about 508 compliance. In fact, all the pages are generated with a specific link to be 508 compliant. 508 compliance. So it explains what actually we do. We create skip navigation links and certain other things. But if talking about tab index property inside the web application, this is actually something which really doesn't work. That's why it doesn't have documentation. The .NET unfortunately doesn't honor the tab index you can set. That is as unfortunate as it is. So you have tab index property over here, and you can set it. In this particular object will have it. So you would need to go through. So if you want to set them, you would need to set them on the whole page for every control. But the problem with the table page is that in a table control, each repeater would need to have unique tab index so that .NET will go and honor them. So for example, if I put 1 and 2, then my next row will also have 1 and 2, and my next row will have also 1 and 2. So that it's a pretty tricky to specify tab index on the table page. On the record page, it's much easier thing to do. Currently, the tabbing order is across then below. That's how it is going to. But again, if you have problems with specific 508 compliance issues when you generate it, you need to open support case, and we will work with you on those issues. Can you demonstrate editing a query? Yes, sure, of course. It's not really today's topic, but for example, if I go to my table page, let's say I go data source, I have several data sources over here for the filters and for the itself the table. I will click Edit button, and for example, right now it's very simple query. It returns all my sales reps. But I can say that, you know what, I don't want all the sales reps, and instead I want only sales rep, for example, from the United States. So I will say, give me all the sales reps from the USA. Or, that would be one of the ideas. Or I can maybe, to do something else, can do a bunch of things. In fact, you can put here any formula. I have a special webinar on the formulas where I demonstrate how to, for example, create multi-tenant application using the formula on the where clause, where you would say that I want only the records where my logged-in user present to the specific company, something like this. But it's all done right there. You can put any formula over here. You can put formula, for example. In other case, let me just cancel from this. In other case, I want, for example, one filter depends on another filter. It's called dependent drop-down lists. And again, this is on this webinar, but I can always go to any drop-down list query and say, you know what, I want that my, I don't know, country would be taken from my other UI control, which is my last name filter, something like this. Well, of course, this won't work because last name filter is not really country. It could be last name. So right now it will show me reports where last name. So it will limit number of values in this particular filter to the those which has this last name. So that's how it is. Question from Denver. I converted my 802 up to 9.2 and wanted to apply modern style layout. It's not possible. It won't allow you to select modern style layout because the current styles, the classic styles, not convertible to modern styles. It's not possible. They are contained within families. You can change current to current, modern to modern, but not between them. The reason for that is that you can think about it this way. When the page is generated, there are kind of literally you see the fields, labels, pictures, etc. on the page. This is the layout. I mean, they are already there. After that, you can move them around. You can change their properties. You can combine like here in one cell, etc. Now you say, oh, no, what? I want to change it to classic layout. But how do we do this? The organization of the columns is completely different. They are organized by columns with the labels on top rather than by combined labels inside one record. I mean, the layout is completely, utterly different. And to map fields from one layout to another layout is virtually impossible. We tried to look at this issue, how we can do it, and whatever we do wasn't perfect. The fields were either lost or completely misplaced, and the resulting page looked so bad, in fact, that it was the same as to create, we put it this way, the page created from out of the box, literally when you just point to the new page, looks better than any attempt to use your current page and classic converted to and preserve some of your changes. Because the only way to convert from classic layout to modern layout is to preserve your changes you already did. Because if you didn't do any changes at all, if it's out of the box, then just delete the page and create and change the layout in the whole application. I mean, bumps rebuild it with the modern one. Point to the same tables. But of course you made changes. You worked on your application, you added some logic, etc. Preserving this logic while converting to completely new layout is not possible at least at this time. We can't find a solution to make it look nice as it's out of the box. So no, there's no way to do this. How can I change large selection list in the drop-down list? How can I use large selection list in drop-down list? Well, what you need to do is create a button, create custom drop-down list, and use it. Currently, we will generate large list selector for each drop-down list when number of items is larger than certain threshold. This threshold is specified in the option options globally, and you can do it per application basis. So what you do is you go here, you look at page options, large list selector controls, and then right now default is 100, but you can change it. So we will generate the large list selector button next to the drop-down list. But if you want to replace drop-down list itself with large list selector, then you need to have different control. For example, you can put a label control and the button. So what you can do is, you can replace this large list selector with label, and then you need to create the custom drop-down, custom large list selector. We have code customization on in the article on this, how to create custom drop-down, a custom large list selector, and you can use it. And that was the last question. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope I give you some new information on the how to make your application look better and look as the way you want it. And we'll be glad to see you again. Bye.